All right, before we bring Bryan on, let's give him the proper introduction that he absolutely deserves. So here it is. With over 25 years in real estate and management, Bryan works with committed real estate professionals to create their successful and sustainable tomorrow. He has been a part of the C21 system since 2002 when he started as an agent in Southern New Jersey and joined the C21 Corporate team in 2010 as a business consultant. He now holds the role of productivity coach for the South Zone of Century 21's U.S.-based operations. Although he lives on the west coast of Florida, he is still a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Join me in welcoming Bryan Pitt to the show. Bryan, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Adam.
Good morning.
Hey, Jane. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, good to have you, my friend.
It's good to be here. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. But before we get into the show, and I've debated this back and forth. Should I do this before or should I do this after? Because I'm afraid if I do it before, you might just bail on me. Okay, but for just good icebreaker, I'm gonna bring something. I'm gonna share my screen, and you might be slightly offended at this, Bryan. To be honest,
I have no idea what. Let me preface with I have no clue.
Jane is not aware of this at all. I'm sorry, dude.
Oh. There's something wrong with my screen for a second, Adam. I can't see anything. Yeah.
Oh, the punchline fell. It's me on the Cowboys stadium ground with a Dallas Cowboys uniform on.
Oh, that's what that is. It's just real blurry, so I don't know. I can't tell. I just see a lot of blue.
Sorry, man. I couldn't resist. Eagles fan. I just had to go there, my friend.
That was good. That was good. It could have been worse. Believe me, I was preparing myself.
I know. I was like, oh my.
I did not mean to scare you, man. So anyway, that's good humor. But anyway, so let's jump straight into the conversation with a little bit of just an icebreaker questions for you. I mean, it's always fun to kind of get these out of the way just to see who you are, man. So what app on your phone could you not go without?
It's got to be my fitness app.
Oh, which one's that?
The actual Apple Fitness app to close my rings every day. That's my goal. I got to close those rings.
That's awesome. I think that's a good goal. Yeah, I love that. That's a good invention.
Do you monitor your friends or compete with anyone with that?
I do, and sometimes I'll send notes out to them and say, hey, are you alive? What's going on? Because I haven't seen any activity in a few days.
Yeah, my daughter will actually call me and she's like, Mom, are you still alive? Your Apple Watch says you haven't moved yet. Like, yeah, I forgot to wear it.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes during our team meetings, when we're virtual now, all of us, we have these, it tells you to stand. So you see us just stand up for a minute.
Well, it'd be even funnier if it was all in sync and everybody stood at the same time.
Yeah, right.
So what was your first job, Bryan?
My first job was actually at Denny's. I was a dishwasher.
Really?
Yeah.
Good old Denny's.
Good old Denny's, right? Yeah,
that's awesome.
I had the lunch shift, which we always went to Denny's for breakfast. I didn't even know they had a lunch. So
I don't think I've ever been to Denny's for lunch.
Right?
No. Yeah, I've always thought of them as a breakfast place, but
exactly.
I guess they did. All right, what's your hidden talent? You got a hidden talent?
My hidden talent. I can wiggle my left ear.
Oh, we got to see that.
Like specifically one ear. Okay, let's see this.
You can see it. I don't know if you can see it here. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Solid.
That's pretty amazing.
That's a solid wiggle, man.
I can't wiggle the other one, just the left.
That is definitely hidden talent. That's awesome.
Okay, so we got one more. What's the one thing your mother or father taught you that completely changed your life?
Work ethic.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I would have to agree with that. I think
finish what you start.
Yeah. Even when you're uncomfortable and you don't want to, it's good to do that. That's a good one. Excellent.
Yep.
That's good. Well, Bryan, let's transition now into the more deeper conversation. I like your work ethic and what you have been doing for Century 21. I mean, I tell you, you guys are really just cranking out some amazing content and good training. Our agents definitely love what you guys are producing. So we're glad to have you part of the show. But
Great.
let's go back to kind of your journey. What led you to getting into real estate and eventually become, the regional productivity coach for C21 Corporate? Like, let's walk through that for us.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Well, it's interesting to me because it was my life, right? Probably everybody else doesn't care. But I was in banking for 5 years, and I got to the point once, if you guys remember Y2K, I'm sure from maybe Adam, you might not remember that one, but for Y2K, I was tasked with helping the bank that I worked with change over and be prepared for Y2K. And pretty much one day I walked into my office and all of the bank's files were sitting in my office. I couldn't even move around because our chief operations officer had left. But anyway, we finished that project and everything went smoothly. And the bank president sat down with me and he said, you know what? Congratulations, you did such an amazing job. We're going to give you a well-deserved raise. And he gave me 6%. And I said, wow, there's got to be something else. So it was at that moment I decided I'm going to leave banking and I'm going to actually follow my dream. I'm going to move to New York City and go to acting school. And I did that in New York City. And as I was searching for a job, every time I went to a restaurant, now, New York City is filled with restaurants. I'd go to a restaurant and they'd say, sorry, you can't work here because you're overqualified. All I want to do is serve tables, but I was overqualified. So a friend of mine said, well, why don't you go get your real estate license? You can do that. You can shape your career. So I did. I got my real estate license in New York City and started that. And before I knew it, that became my passion. It was probably my first transaction that I said, wow, when I looked across the table and saw how happy the clients were, I fell in love with it. So, and then after 9/11, unfortunately, I moved back home to Southern New Jersey where I grew up and started with C21. So the rest is downhill from there. Well, not downhill; it's more uphill and a lovely ride, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, that's a journey for sure. So acting, trying to get a restaurant, to needing a job, went into real estate and found passion and a dream fulfilled through real estate. I think there's a lot of agents. It's like in some ways, you get into real estate not really realizing how much you might actually like it. It sometimes just fills a need at the moment. But I noticed that if the agent gets in it, then they love it and they get a passion for it. Man, they're in it for the long haul. It's very hard to not want to do it anymore.
Yeah. I talked to so many people that became agents and they're like, oh, I love looking at homes and seeing how they're designed and how they're done. But then once they become agents, it becomes all about, I love the people,
Right.
They're like, they barely see the houses, but now they're solely people focused, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I got a question for you. So what's the one thing you wish you had known before you began your career?
It's not, I wouldn't say it's something that one thing, but I wish that I had more confidence at that moment. When I started my career, the sky's the limit for all new agents that start. I mean, you are literally designing your future. And I know now, looking back, had I had more confidence, I could have capitalized on so many more opportunities. So I would have to say probably just more confidence. And of course, I developed that through time, but
I think that's good. I think a lot of agents, they second guess themselves because it is a new industry and they're so scared of making mistakes that they let that fear hold them back. And to be honest, what agent has not made a mistake? I mean, that's just normal. That's part of the process. So I think that's good. Having confidence that it's okay to make mistakes and being fearless to go out there and do your job. That's good. Yeah. More confidence. That's good.
I think it's easy for a new agent to be overwhelmed because there's so many things to learn, and so quickly, so much information. But I think that rattles their confidence a little because they're like, there's so much.
Yeah, that's one of the classes that we teach in the university. It's called Catapult to Confidence, and we speak about just that, being overwhelmed or making mistakes, that fear of making mistakes. I can remember I made a huge mistake. I won't even talk about that mistake. When I was an agent, my broker was extremely supportive. He helped me through it, and he said, "Here's the thing: if you weren't making mistakes, you wouldn't be working. So it's good that you're making mistakes."
That's good advice.
Now, one of the things you guys do that I wish was done when I was a brand new agent is the career path, because when I started, it was like, what do I do? Where do I go?
Right.
What's next? Kind of thing. Where with the career path, it's awesome. I mean, you all spell it out step by step. Take this, then this, then this, and it's very well thought out. Awesome, fun classes. That's great.
Yeah. Jane, it's interesting that you bring that up, because the career path with classes, you can always pick and choose, and we can change that as the business evolves. But the one thing that is pretty consistent is, as a new agent coming into the business, you need to understand the impact of prospecting. That it's not, it is also who you know, but it's also who are you getting to know? How are you expanding your network? How are you expanding your sphere? Because that is your future. So that's one of the things that we try to help new agents with, is that when you first get into the business, don't worry about the paperwork, right?
Yeah.
Worry about your network. Build your network.
Yeah, that's true. And if you're in a good office, the paperwork's going to come along as far as the training side from the brokerage. So yeah, you should have resources to take care of that. So you're right. Focus on the networking, because that's the business. That's where you're going to grow a business. I mean, we're always asked, like, well, what's the first thing I need to be doing? Well, you got to network with people. You got to get in front of people and build the database, and that's where it starts. Yeah, and you guys are really good at teaching that. And I think that's really good. And you're right. The career path it can be modified to adjust to the circumstance that the agent is in. And it still keeps them inside of a framework that helps them to develop that business model. And that's the beauty of it. It's just it's a beautiful system. Our agents love it. And I wish, all agents were part of the company and had that as well. So they're missing out.
We tell our agents too, you want to get your systems in place so that when, you're slower, if you're working on getting these systems in place, that when you get busy, they'll already be there, as a framework or support. What are some systems, Bryan, that you really like? Because I know agents ask us all the time, well, okay, but what system? Where do I start?
Now, are you speaking like technology or just a system in place?
Just anything that you think as a brand new agent, start here. These are some of the systems or tools that you need to have as you advance.
So as a brand new agent, I'm going to say that the system needs to be around your network and your prospecting to build that network. As you continue to build that network, then you're going to put systems into place for transacting, for buyers. What systems or what plan of action have you put in place for your buyers to make sure that you're capitalizing on those buyer opportunities? Is it the same with listings? What's that system? During Celebrate 21, our month-long virtual convention that we had back in March, Sarah Paget, she's an agent out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, she spoke about systems. And one of the things that I loved that Sarah said was, I came from a career as a server, as a restaurant server. And she said, I knew that in order to service as many customers or as many clients as possible, it was the same as serving tables. Each table has a different order. Each table has different needs, and you've got to keep that in mind. And it's almost like spinning plates constantly, right? So she put systems in place in her business that was akin to her serving business, that allowed her to service multiple clients and to get them to that end point, that closing of the transaction. So as you build, the first thing I would say, Jane, is of course, put systems in place that help you network. And that the best thing is a calendar. having a calendar and working with the calendar. And everyone wants to say, oh, well, a calendar's not a system. Of course a calendar is a system. And you when you make your calendar your boss, which I love. I can't remember where I heard that from, but I love it. Make your calendar your boss. Well, there's a system right there. If your calendar says you're supposed to be prospecting between 11 to 1,
start prospecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. So on that same note, let's go into this question. What have you seen as some of the most common skills that successful agents have, that they have developed, and what would you say are the ones that every agent should constantly work on? Like, what are some of those skills inside of that?
Well, I think that the systems are definitely. I mean, that's most successful agents have systems in place, and along with those systems is the consistency. They are consistently doing only the things that will create a substantial future for them or close transactions. So you've got systems, you've got this consistency, and then focus. The ability to literally focus in on, as we're talking about books, 4 Disciplines of Execution is a fantastic book that talks about WIGs, a wildly important goal that you focus in on. You are matching your activities only to that wildly important goal.
That's good.
And that's that focus.
What was the name of that book again?
4 Disciplines of Execution. I just changed my office around yesterday. I usually turn around and it's right there. And it is gone. So it's somewhere. Oh, here it is. That's the problem with changing your office around. 4 Disciplines of Execution. Let me see. It's kind of bright there. Yeah, can't see it. All right, it's 4 Disciplines of Execution. Sean Covey and Chris McChesney are the authors of this. It's a really easy read, just like your book that you were talking about earlier. Fantastic book that really gets you focused in on
That's good.
Creating that wildly important goal, and then the lag and lead measures that only impact that wildly important goal. The rest of it, the book says, is the whirlwind. That's the things that are just happening constantly around us. Can't change those. They're always going to happen. That's
good. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna picking that book up for sure. I think everybody can relate to that scenario 100%. And it's easy to get caught in that mode and spend more time in that space than the space you really need to be focused on. So yeah, that's good. That's really good.
So speaking of changes, a lot of people are talking about how different the market is and how much it's changed recently. What do you see as the biggest changes that are happening right now, and what changes do you think we should look for in the future?
Well, it's interesting because we talk about what we went through with COVID. No one saw this happening.
No.
All right. We just didn't. No one, not only did we not see it happening, but we didn't see it impacting us the way that it did.
Yeah.
Specifically the real estate industry. Now, as you know, NAR predicted a huge decline for 2020 in Q1 of last year. Going into Q2, the NAR was saying, "Whoa, there's going to be a huge decline." Well, exactly the opposite happened. We saw that steep fall, but we saw an immediate climb back up. And I think that through that, there was a real reaffirmation of the importance and the need for real estate professionals. One of the things that I thought about, because I live here in Florida, and and here in my area, in my immediate marketplace, there are the big players. We have all of the major players, and then we have a lot of small, like from your garage type thing. But that, because of COVID and what had happened was the consumer, it seemed, was moving directly to the larger players because of consistency, because of stability. from what I was hearing from some of my neighbors who were saying, yeah, if you're looking to do a transaction, don't do it yourself. And that was the first time I've heard in 20 years where people were consistently saying, don't do it yourself, go get an agent. And they were also saying, go get an agent from a company that knows how to do it.
That's good.
So there's that reaffirmation again that real estate professionals are vital, are valuable. And I think that in the future, without consulting my crystal ball, which I left in New Jersey, I would think that we as an industry, we now have some solid ground to leap from with COVID. So if there's anything positive that came from that, I would say that we are now seen as more valuable, and it's up to us what we do with that in the future.
That's really, I love that observation. That is absolutely true. And in the market we find ourselves in now, validates that very much, that an agent's very important. I mean, we got crazy offers going on, multi-offers, escalation clauses. I mean, there's tons of things that we've had to adapt and adjust to in this market that, to be honest, a for sale by owner that does not do this on a regular basis has no understanding of it. Even attorneys that write, do real estate law are not doing this every single day. So there's a whole need for a professional to be navigating and helping these buyers and sellers in this water that we find ourselves in. I mean, that's a wonderful observation where I think you're right. I think if a good agent that understands what we went through, the importance of what the agent did during those times and this time as well, and using that in the conversations they have with their clients, is going to live on. It's like, look, remember when. Right. It's like, don't forget.
Yeah.
We kept you guys afloat, and we kept the economy moving. So remember when.
True.
So that's good. Well, Bryan, let's touch on some of the Century 21 classes and stuff that you guys offer, and completely free to agents. I mean, they can log on and take these classes anytime they want. Would you mind mentioning a few of them and kind of a little bit about what the purpose and the benefits of those classes are? Just kind of give us a little bit of a rundown of those.
Sure. Adam, we have a vast library. And Jane, as you mentioned before, we have those pathways to success that we can mix up. We can pick and choose and add things and customize those pathways. Because we have that vast library, it's kind of hard. Sometimes agents go, oh my goodness, I'm completely overwhelmed by all of the classes that Century 21 University offers. So really, let's focus in on the core, right? So we talked about the importance of prospecting, right? And building a very strong business. Well, I think that the best class to match that would be Accelerate. And Accelerate is the 4-week agent productivity flagship class. And that Accelerate is going to help an agent set their goals, understand the importance of lead generation, to start building and understanding the concept of working with buyers, and the same, start building and understand the concept of working with sellers. So you've got 4 weeks, and now Accelerate isn't just a class for brand new agents. It's for agents who have been around that need a refresh. It's for agents who have plateaued and said, hey, you know what? I want to get to the next level. There are so many agents that I've seen go through Accelerate that said, I've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yes.
I needed that restart. I needed that reminder that my business needs to focus in on lead generation.
And it has a built-in accountability aspect too, because you're kind of doing it in a group of the same group for those 4 weeks, and you're holding each other accountable. And that's the beauty of it. And I don't know anybody out there, and any agent, that doesn't need accountability. I don't care if you're a top selling agent or a brand new agent. Accountability is not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
It keeps you moving forward. That's good.
Yeah. Beyond that, I would say that our Sphere of Influence, our lead gen series, it's a Sphere of Influence farming, expireds, and forgot the last one. There's one more. Open houses.
Open house. Yeah.
But it's not just, and a lot of, an agent may say, well, you know what? I don't need any help in open houses. I know how to set up an open house. Now, remember, it is lead generation. It's how do you set that open house to, one, get attendance, two, to capitalize on the people, to convert, right? The people that do attend. So this is a great class. That whole series is a great class, again, to focus in on that lead generation. Then doubling down on the buyers. We have a buyers class, and then we have a sellers class. All of these are the core that I would say, everything else is great and I love it. And we do some fantastic things at university, but don't forget about the core. And then, of course, for those agents who are looking to move into management or ownership, we have classes available for that as well. And for our leaders, we have classes for leadership development as well.
Yeah, it's tons of information for agents to tap into. And I'll add this to anyone that's already taken this class. I don't know any time that I've taken a class and learned everything that class had to offer because I took it once. You usually got to take things a couple times to get information from classes, right? Sure. I mean, and if you're a real estate agent, that's true because every year you have to go and get continuing education classes. And you go back and you learn what you would assume would be new, but it's the same information just taught to you again that you forgot just 12 months ago. I mean, so it is good practice. It is a good practice for agents and people in general to continue to have a mindset of learning. I encourage it. Take these classes. They're free. I mean, you guys are doing amazing work to deliver this, and it's available, and you can take it from your comfort of your own home. So,
and the nice thing too, Brian, they have like new agent, experienced agent, but they also have management, coaches, leaders, recruiting, brokers, training for all levels.
Yeah. You mentioned that about the trainers. We have a train the trainer class that's just amazing. It doesn't just say, oh, well, here are our Century 21 University classes, and this is how you deliver them. No, it shows you how to work a room, how to facilitate a class, how to tips and tools on how to engage with the students. It's not just here's the content. Trainer. Yeah. Here's the content, right?
I actually took that class in New Jersey. Fantastic. One of the first ones they had before it was available online.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. If you've not had an opportunity to go to headquarters, I highly recommend it. It was great.
Absolutely. And you know what, Jane, I love that you mentioned that you were able to go to the first one. The part that I love about Century 21 University is that we're not just developing these classes in a bubble. We're not just going into New Jersey and saying, hey, I think this is what agents need right now. No, we're literally constantly interviewing agents and brokers and refreshing our classes. Mm-hmm. So to Adam's point, even if you took a class 2-3 years ago, there's a very good chance that class has been refreshed and there's new content for today that's available there for you.
Yeah, I would almost, if I was an agent doing and wanted to learn, I would set up a schedule to go back and take those classes take a class every other month or so and take one of these classes just on rotation. You're going to stay current. That's the benefit here. And again, no cost.
No cost. And you get almost a personal guide.
Yeah.
Myself, Lisa Lozano, Mary Beth Holt, we're all here to help all of the agents and brokers across the country. We become your guide.
Yeah. We talked about this before the show, but we were actually fortunate enough to have you come to our area and teach live with our group, and everyone loved your training.
Yep. It was good.
Thank you. I'm blushing right now, so.
No, really, it was so entertaining. It really was. Everyone was, so impressed with your training.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's really comforting to know that corporate or people from corporate will take the time to come to the individual brokerages and do classes, and It's a really neat thing that they do that I
Well,
don't
yeah, and
think
to
a
your
lot of
point,
brokerages do.
yeah, I've not experienced that at all. And to your point, Brian, it's you're right. It's not just taking a class, because when you enroll in a school and you get to meet all of your team and you engage with you guys, you become friends, and you guys are always there as the advocate to help them. It goes way beyond. So the more you engage with you guys, the more it's this accountability and going back and forth, and it just works. So yeah, top notch. Well done.
Adam, I'm going to tell you a quick story about that, about becoming friends, right?
Yeah.
You know that we all travel to our events. So when we have live events, we go to the events. And I remember I was with a new affiliate at an event a few years back, and he said to me, he goes, "Boy, you guys hug everyone." And I'm like, yeah, we do, because we see each other and it's like, "Hey, Adam,
it's like,
haven't seen you."
buddy. Seriously,
He's like, "In my old brand, we didn't hug anyone."
Yeah, everybody shows up, all collared and all professional.
Right.
It's like, guys, come on, we're human. We're in this together. We're family. Let's make this work. Let's do something
Right.
amazing here together. And that I agree. I think going to these conventions and stuff, you guys got to go. I mean, people need to go to these things and connect with agents.
Yeah.
We have a huge resource of people to pull information from, workplace, and
Right.
all these advantages that are at your disposal, that are available to you to connect and relate and learn from. And
well, and you are starting back the live events, right? Don't you have
Yes.
one in Naples, Florida?
We
July?
do in July. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you coming?
I am actually.
Awesome.
My mom lives in Naples, so I'll be down.
Perfect. And you can tell us where to eat too. So.
there you go.
Yeah, I know all the good places to eat.
Awesome. So good. Well, it'll be great to see you. And then for top agents in leadership, leaders, we're going to be in Hawaii in November.
Oh, I know.
Hello.
Yeah, come on. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, well, and it's really awesome too, because with COVID, the last year's trip was canceled, but all of those agents are going this year as well.
True.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
They're so looking forward to it. We had quite a few agents in our office that were so disappointed with all the COVID and everything, but yet so happy now that it's back and it's in Hawaii again.
That's good to know.
Awesome.
I love that. Yeah.
Well, Brian, let's wrap this up with one more question for you. And just to wrap it up, let's talk about kind of C21. Like, where do you think it's heading as a brand over the next 1 to 5 years, maybe even 10 or so? Where do you think the brand's going as a whole?
Interesting. So again, I left my crystal ball back up in New Jersey, but
yeah, definitely speculative. But
the thing that I love now, we're right now, we have an amazing leader, Mike Mueller.
Yeah.
I've worked with Mike my entire career with corporate, and Mike's, from the first day I met him, which actually was my very first day with Century 21, he has been about growth. Everything that Mike does, as far as a WIG, when we talk about a wildly important goal and focus, it's about growth. So I think that if all we need to do is follow his amazing leadership, and we all will grow.
yeah,
I mean, it's the signs are there, the stepstones are there for us to follow. And he is definitely, every conversation that you have with Mike, he's consistent about growth, personal growth, financial growth, business growth, everything. It's always about growth. So
yep.
I would say
growth is definitely where we're heading. I mean, if you look at all the reports and numbers about franchise, I mean, Entrepreneur Magazine, right? As #1 ranked out of all franchises. I mean, not just real estate, but all. That is growth, man. That's growth. And you're right. Mike Mueller is
right there.
And I think his whole career's been with Century 21. Am I wrong? Is that right? He like
the majority of it. Yes, I think he's in his 22nd year. 22nd. Yeah, he started when I was 8.
Wow.
I have to tell a story about him. So during COVID, when people weren't able to get together and that, he actually sent text messages out to some of our agents who went above and beyond, trying to adapt and everything. And at first they were like, it's spam. And I'm like, no, it's really him. He is actually taking,
Wow.
and they were like, is this for real? And I was like, yeah, he actually took the time, to do that. It made them feel really special because not a lot of places does the head guy send you a personal text message to say, congratulations, good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the workload that, we all know that he has a workload.
Oh, yeah.
To take the time to do that, that speaks volume of the character.
It does.
And where his passion is and his heart lies. And it's really good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan, awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
So.
You're welcome back anytime. If you ever have anything you want to bring, shoot me a text, email, whatever, man. We'll bring you back on. If you have something you want to share.
Awesome. That'll be great. All right. Thanks, Jane. We'll see you in Naples. Adam.
In Naples.
Take care, guys.
You too, Bryan. See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.